Before we begin, viewer discretion is strongly advised. The following is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. This is the exact federal courtroom testimony from the Sean Diddy Combs trial as reported by Inner City Press. When Kanye West entered the courtroom, no one could have predicted what he was about to reveal. But his words left everyone in the gallery frozen in disbelief. Looking straight ahead, Kanye declared that Sean Diddy Combs wasn't just a music icon. He was involved in the mysterious death of the king of pop, Michael Jackson. And Kanye wasn't speaking in metaphors. He testified that Diddy was part of a powerful secret network that may have played a role in Jackson's downfall. He pointed directly at Fahim Muhammad, Diddy's current head of security, who also oversaw Michael Jackson's protection during his final days. Kanye described Michael's chilling last phone call, claiming Jackson believed he was being hunted and insisted that Diddy was the mastermind behind it all. This wasn't a breakdown or a paranoid rant. It was a clear warning. In this video, we uncover Kanye's explosive testimony, the growing body of evidence, and the unsettling connections that could change everything. The courtroom was already tense after days of disturbing witness statements, and the jurors were visibly shaken. But nothing could have prepared them for what happened next. Kanye walked in wearing all black, his sunglasses removed, hands slightly trembling but his voice firm, as if he had been waiting for this moment his entire life. "I'm not here to talk about music," he said. "I'm here to talk about murder." Gasps filled the room, and the judge called for silence, but the intensity remained. Kanye calmly explained that he had been invited not just to discuss Diddy's behavior, but to address his alleged role in what he called the organized takedown of Michael Jackson. This wasn't gossip or whispers behind the scenes. Kanye alleged that the same forces that once tried to have him committed through his former trainer Harley Pasternak were also tied to the people surrounding Michael in his final days. He again pointed to Fahim Muhammad, now Diddy's longtime head of security, who had also been hired as Jackson's personal bodyguard just months before his 2009 death. According to Kanye, Fahim wasn't there just for security. He was there to silence Michael. Kanye said that the same people who threatened him with disappearing had once given Michael the same message: "If you go against us, you won't make it to the stage." Kanye said this warning was passed to both of them in different ways, but neither he nor Michael backed down. Then Kanye revealed the most shocking claim. He had listened to Michael Jackson's final voicemail. He said the Jackson family played it for him in private. In the message, Michael sounded terrified, breathing heavily and whispering as if someone was listening. The final line of that voicemail, Kanye claimed, was, "Tell them it's Puffy. He knows. He's here." The entire courtroom froze. Jurors looked horrified. Diddy was seen clutching the edge of the table, and his lawyers began whispering frantically. Kanye simply said, "Michael knew." He then turned his focus to a name rarely mentioned in mainstream media, Fahim Muhammad. While most people know little about him, Kanye was determined to expose the truth about this man and question why he appeared at the center of both Michael Jackson's and Diddy's lives. Kanye asked a question that stunned everyone. Why would the most famous man in the world, Michael Jackson, trust his life to a 20-year-old with no major security background when he hired Fahim? At the time Fahim was hired, he had just graduated from Sacramento State, yet within months he was suddenly put in charge of protecting the most targeted celebrity in the world, which Kanye found highly suspicious. Even more surprising, Kanye pointed out that Fahim wasn't personally chosen by Michael Jackson. Instead, according to testimony from the 2011 Conrad Murray trial, Fahim was brought in through industry contacts that could be traced directly back to Sean Combs. Kanye claimed that Fahim had been connected to Diddy in various roles for a long time, even if not officially, and his assignment to Michael's security team had more to do with control than actual protection. He explained to the jury that Fahim had full access to Michael's schedule, prescriptions, personal staff, and, most alarmingly, his deepest fears. Then Kanye pulled back another layer, revealing that Fahim had once been invited to speak at the prestigious Wharton School, which Kanye insisted was a red flag, arguing that elite institutions like Wharton often have long-standing ties with military intelligence networks. While Kanye didn't directly call Fahim a government agent, he heavily suggested it by asking, "What kind of bodyguard speaks at Wharton?" Then answered it himself. "Not someone carrying a gun, someone carrying a mission." He repeated. Rumors that after Michael's death, Fahim helped wipe hard drives and delete security footage from Michael's home, which raised more questions. Now, Kanye said, this same man is helping Diddy manage his empire. He pointed to the lawsuit filed by Lil Rod, which named Fahim Muhammad as the enforcer behind a larger criminal operation, one that allegedly involved making both people and problems disappear. First Michael Jackson, Kanye warned. Then, me. Who's next? He then shifted focus to a subject he had hinted at for years, but never addressed this openly in court. Handlers. These are the mysterious people Kanye claims are embedded in celebrities' lives to manipulate, control, and silence them. He called out his former trainer Harley Pasternak as his own handler, a man who once threatened via text to send Kanye back to Zombieland if he didn't cooperate. Staring directly at the jury, Kanye said, "That man threatened to throw me in a mental hospital just for not doing what he wanted. So ask yourself, what happens to those who refuse to play?" Along? He then made a direct link between Harley and Fahim, describing them as two different handlers assigned to two different artists, but working toward the same outcome: total control. According to Kanye, Michael Jackson had been given his own version of Harley, except this one didn't just threaten him with drugs. This one had Fahim had the keys to Michael's house, access to his medicine cabinet, and control over his life, Kanye claimed, then laid out what he described as a disturbing pattern. Michael gained power by owning half of Sony's music catalog. Challenged. Industry titan Tommy Mottola protested publicly and then suddenly fell ill, was heavily medicated, and died, all while Fahim Muhammad was in charge of his security. Kanye drew a parallel to his own life. He rose to fame, stood up to Adidas, the Grammys, Balenciaga, and even Jay-Z. And when he refused to conform, he was suddenly labeled unstable, threatened with forced hospitalization, stripped of brand deals, and in his words, turned into a modern-day Michael Jackson. But Kanye didn't stop there. He claimed other bold and fearless artists like Prince, DMX, and Whitney Houston also voiced fear before their deaths. "You don't have to believe me," Kanye told the courtroom. "Just look at the pattern. They silence us, and they smile while doing it." The jury sat in silence, with one member reportedly wiping away tears, while Diddy sat stone-faced, his body tense and unmoving. Though the judge called for a short break, the emotional impact of Kanye's testimony had already settled over the room. Then, Kanye took things even deeper, sharing a story he said came directly from someone within Michael Jackson's own family, a final voicemail left by Michael just days before his death. A message that had never been made public but was supposedly saved by a close family member. According to Kanye, the voice message was full of panic and fear, as Michael pleaded, "I don't feel safe, he's here, I know he is, they're trying to take everything." Kanye then recited what he claimed were Michael's final recorded words. "Tell them it's Puffy, he knows he's here, please protect the kids." Shock swept the courtroom again and the judge demanded silence, but the weight of those words had already shaken everyone. Kanye said the message was sent to someone close to Michael who, at the time, didn't realize how serious it was. In the days leading up to his death, Michael had become more and more isolated, blocked from his trusted team, and surrounded by people he barely knew. People Kanye described as industry plants wearing security badges. Once again, he pointed the finger at Fahim Muhammad, asking why a young man in his early 20s, fresh out of college, had suddenly been given control over the world's most famous entertainer. Why, Kanye asked, did Michael's longtime security staff suddenly disappear? Kanye questioned why Fahim was placed in that position and who made it happen, then pointed out a detail many had missed. Michael's security camera system reportedly failed the night he died, even though his home was supposed to be fully protected by surveillance. He said the footage was erased, the cameras were off, just like the missing video from the Diddy tunnel. Then Kanye shared a chilling theory. What if Michael wasn't meant to die from propofol? What if they were preparing him for something else but made a mistake? What if someone panicked and ended things too early? He highlighted the massive financial stakes involved. Michael was worth billions through his music rights and his comeback. Tour was expected to shatter records around the world. Kanye said that music catalog alone was worth killing for, and he ended that part of his testimony with a single sentence. Michael's death was the cleanest business move Sony ever made. His words unlocked a flood of accusations, not just about Michael Jackson, but about what Kanye called a long-standing pattern in the music industry. In the next section, Kanye listed artists who, he claimed, tried to resist the system and ended up either dead or publicly destroyed. Whitney Houston, DMX, Prince, Amy Winehouse, and Lisa Left Eye Lopes. He read their names like a memorial, saying each one had tried to speak out and each one was gone. He explained how Prince had fought Warner Brothers for control over his music and warned other artists about unfair contracts and labels stealing their freedom. Prince was later found unconscious in an elevator, alone, after telling people he felt targeted. Kanye recalled Prince's last few appearances, where he hinted at death and said he was being watched. Then came Whitney Houston. Kanye said she once warned Clive Davis that she knew too much, especially about disturbing parties she believed were linked to Diddy's circle. Her chaotic final days, according to Kanye, weren't random at all. He said, "They make you look crazy, so no one questions how you really died." He also brought up Lisa Left Eye Lopes, who recorded a video just before her death in Honduras, saying she was being followed and guided by spirits. "You know what she said in that video?" Kanye asked the court. "She said she was being hunted." And days later, her car crashed off a road with no guardrails. Kanye insisted these weren't accidents. They were part of a pattern, a way of wiping out artists who didn't follow orders. When you stop being useful to the system, or speak out, or own too much, you become a threat, he said. The courtroom sat frozen as Kanye named one last person, Biggie Smalls. "Do you really think it's a coincidence that Biggie's death was never solved?" he asked. "Or that the only one left from that circle still standing is Diddy, Shaw Diddy Combs?" Kanye described the infrastructure surrounding Diddy as one of the most protected empires in music history, saying that the Diddy brand wasn't just built on music, it was built on power, control, and influence, acting as a cover for something much darker. He referenced the Lil Rod lawsuit, which accuses Diddy of organizing parties involving trafficking, drugs, and bribery. But Kanye insisted that was just the surface. The real mission, he claimed, was about silencing threats and maintaining power, with connections to executives, politicians, and former intelligence agents. "This is why people disappear, why lawsuits go away," Kanye told the court. "You can't fight this with a lawyer. You fight it with a spotlight." He pointed to the federal raids on Diddy's homes, claiming the public hadn't seen everything. "I've seen some of it," Kanye said. "Tunnels, documents, names. Some of those names still work in the industry. Some of them run companies. Some are sitting in this courtroom." Then he exposed what he called the pyramid, a web of assistants, stylists, producers, trainers, bodyguards, and lawyers, all serving one purpose: silence and control. "You're not allowed to leave. You're not allowed to talk. And if you do, you'll never work again. Or worse." He accused Fahim Muhammad once again of being the enforcer, the one who made the calls, erased phones, and gave people the warning to shut up or disappear forever. Then Kanye dropped a bomb. "Fahim was there when Michael died, and he's here now. What's changed?" He ended that portion with the chilling line. "The industry didn't just kill Michael, it turned his death into a business model." The courtroom sat frozen in silence. These weren't vague statements. They were sharp, direct, and shocking. Diddy sat still at the defense table, but those watching closely noticed his jaw tighten, his fingers twitch, and how he leaned in to whisper urgently to his legal team. Something had cracked in Diddy's polished image. Kanye's words weren't just claims, they were electric. At one point, Kanye looked directly at Diddy and said, "You know what you did to him? You watched the king fall." The room erupted. In whispers, the judge slammed the gavel, trying to restore order. Reporters spoke quietly into their phones, capturing every word as if witnessing history. According to court sketch artists and legal experts, Diddy shook his head at Kanye's words but never denied them. He didn't shout, didn't interrupt, he just looked trapped. A journalist from Rolling Stone tweeted, "Diddy's face went blank, like he wasn't in control anymore." Kanye had flipped the entire courtroom with that one sentence. He continued, saying he had once met with Michael, who told him he was afraid, that he felt followed, and believed someone close to him was plotting against him. He never said Diddy's name back then, Kanye admitted, but the person he described sounded exactly like Fahim Muhammad. There was always someone around Michael, always watching, someone he never personally hired because he didn't trust them. This part of Kanye's testimony didn't feel like a rant. It felt like a confession, a burden finally being lifted. The courtroom wasn't witnessing a celebrity meltdown. They were watching a man reveal something he claimed had weighed on him for years. "I'm not here to entertain," Kanye said. "I'm here because a man died, and another man got rich from it. That last statement, a clear reference to Diddy's 2010 purchase of music catalogs and his rumored $700 million empire built partly after Michael's death, sent shockwaves not just for the money involved, but because it reframed the possible motive. Michael Jackson, Kanye claimed, was worth more dead than alive, and someone had made sure that change happened carefully. Kanye's words didn't just shake the courtroom, they shook the world. The moment the live stream went public, and news spread, a media firestorm exploded. From CNN to TMZ, headlines read, Kanye West says Diddy had Michael Jackson killed, and courtroom chaos as Kanye accuses Diddy of MJ's death. But what truly stopped the world was the response from the Jackson family. Jermaine Jackson, in a heartfelt Instagram post, wrote, Kanye said what we couldn't say for 15 years. My brother was murdered, and the industry knows it. LaToya Jackson, through her attorney, released a statement. I've said it before, Michael didn't die from an overdose. He died because someone wanted him silent. We're now ready to speak under oath. Then came leaked internal emails, reportedly shared by a whistleblower inside AEG, suggesting that top executives knew Michael wasn't physically fit for the tour, but went ahead anyway. One haunting email read, he doesn't need to be well. He just needs to make it through opening night. Kanye's words had opened a locked vault. Former Jackson staff began contacting the court to offer their testimony. One claimed they saw unknown security inside Michael's home the night before. He died. Another said Michael had become so paranoid that he slept with loud music playing just to block out what he believed were voices being pumped through the walls. Legal experts also began to question why Fahim Muhammad was never cross-examined during Conrad Murray's trial. We missed something, said a retired detective who worked the case back in 2009. This wasn't just about a bad doctor. This could have been a setup. Every major news network ran panels. Some called Kanye's claims wild conspiracy theories, but others replayed his testimony word for word, especially the chilling moment when he said, "They're still watching us." Public opinion shifted rapidly. Kanye wasn't trending for a new album. He was trending because people thought he had finally revealed something they feared was true all along. After his testimony, the courthouse buzzed with electricity. Security was tightened. Reporters rushed to verify rumors that the Jackson family had been issued subpoenas. The judge even called an emergency meeting with both sides to deal with the seriousness of the claims. The case against Diddy had taken a historic turn. Diddy's lawyers tried to dismiss Kanye's words as emotional, personal fantasies, but the public wasn't convinced. Social media was flooded with clips of Kanye, saying, "They want to call me crazy, but I'm just the only one telling the truth." Behind the scenes, prosecutors were reportedly going over their witness list again. Fahim Muhammad, silent, out of the spotlight, was now being mentioned with urgency. Rumors grew that federal agents were reopening parts of the Jackson investigation, especially after a resurfaced voicemail and fresh witness accounts. But the most heartbreaking twist came from Michael's children. One insider said Paris Jackson told close friends she didn't believe her father's death was accidental. Prince Jackson, in a tweet he later deleted, reportedly wrote, "My father feared the industry, and now I understand why." This trial was no longer just about Diddy. It had become a deep look at the music industry itself, its secrets, its control, and its dark past. Kanye West, once dismissed as loud and unstable, had placed himself right in the center of a major turning point. And the final question hanging in the air was this: will this testimony change anything? Because if Kanye is even partly right, and Diddy had a role in taking down the most famous entertainer the world has ever seen, then this isn't just a trial, it's a reckoning.